bit about SharePoint and OneDrive. In fact, Knudsen facilitated, and he talked about how the Northeast Ag and Natural Resources not program leaders, ag agents are using it so well, and the kind of information they're putting on their SharePoint site, and some of the rest of us, how we were using SharePoint. Well, I thought I would put the URL of the ITS website where you actually request a SharePoint site. And lo and behold, it wasn't there. And I thought, this is weird. What's going on? And then I remembered Elizabeth had said something about C.A. Johnson, who is a trainer in ITS, had visited with her because they said we needed to kind of get a few of our AgCom SharePoint sites organized. And we thought, well, we'll delete a couple and just have a generic AgCom SharePoint site and then folders within that. And CJ said, well, let's not do anything for a while. Something's happening. And it's like, okay, what's happening? I'm sure you've all read in the newspapers and places like that about how NDSU is on a separate email system from the other university system schools. Well, I didn't put two and two together, but obviously our email is part of Office 365. OneDrive and SharePoint are also part of Office 365, basically the cloud version of our Microsoft Office suite. So not only does the transition of NDSU to the university system affect our email, but it also is going to affect our SharePoint and OneDrive. So what it boils down to is everything's kind of on hold for a little while. If you have a SharePoint site or are using OneDrive, that's great. It will continue to work, no problem. Just can't create any new ones now, because if we do, not if, when we have to transfer those, they just don't want us to have to transfer any more than we have to. So, short answer is, even though some of us really like SharePoint, we cannot create any new SharePoint. This isn't the right word. I can't think of what they call them now. I've gone blank. We can't create any new SharePoint sites right now. That Mark Wallman didn't even have a schedule for when the transition might happen. So any questions at all on that?
All right, looks like no questions. Any questions about SharePoint or OneDrive?
Let me throw out one thing about OneDrive too, if there's no questions on SharePoint before we move on, Ryan. Even if there are questions, I've told you everything I know, so I couldn't answer anything. There's no schedule and there's no easy way to do it described for us yet. Okay, so on OneDrive, this one's kind of off the wall, but I'm going to warn you all anyway. I thought I would be a guinea pig and put all of my Word documents and all of my photos in OneDrive so they would be in the cloud and I wouldn't have to remember to back up my laptop. Things were going along just fine and everything was syncing, and all of a sudden I was getting these weird messages. And this is almost embarrassing to say, but OneDrive maxes out. You're limited to 20,000 files. And I know that sounds awful, but I have a heck of a lot of photos. And I have a lot of old email, or not email, but old Word documents that need, and even WordPerfect documents that need to be cleaned out. So this has motivated me to get my rear in gear and do a lot of cleaning out. But I think once I do that, I think I'm going to like it. But right now I can't share. I have them to where I have access, but I can't share them since they're not syncing right since I've maxed out the system. So even though you might have heard that, oh, it's unlimited, that's not 100% true. 20,000 sounds fairly unlimited, but it's amazing that I actually filled it up. So just wanted to warn somebody in case
Becky,
anybody else tried to do that.
I have a question. While you're talking about OneDrive, and you're going to try to put all this stuff that you have in the cloud in your OneCloud drive, then when or if you ever leave Extension, all of that stuff is gone to you. You would have to back it up on a different medium before your departure, because isn't this the one that is tied in with our Extension stuff and it will go away?
Yes, OneDrive is your personal drive connected with your email address. And I know I used this story last time about how Lori Sharmer offered to create a OneDrive site for the branding committee and share it. And I said, hey, Lori, aren't you planning on retiring? She said, yeah. So yes, it would have gone away when Lori retired, or 6 months when her email address goes away. So yes, that is true. But these, like I said, are my personal files. If I want to save any when I someday finally get to retire, I would have to download them to my personal something anyway, because I would never have my ndsu.edu address anymore.
Justice Bob, just to clarify real quickly, everything's been accurate so far, but I think just be some confusion. When Becky's putting her stuff on OneDrive, she's syncing it, so it's on her computer, right? So I don't know, Becky, I guess you might be uploading stuff that you're not syncing, but for a lot of people, when you're syncing with OneDrive, the files remain on your machine, right? So if you lost access to your OneDrive for whatever reason, you would still have the files on your machine. I don't know if that was clear or not.
Thanks, Bob.
But it'd probably be good to back it up onto external anyway, just in case, right? Backup.
Sure. Redundancy.
Yep.
Send it to a friend in Europe, whatever.
Yep. Becky, do you have anything else to add?
No, just wanted to share those two things I'd learned since the last tech coffee break.
Thanks, Becky. And Bob, you had something to say about the Innovations team event?
Yeah. I just want to sort of announce, actually, this is the first time we've made it public, but the NDSU Extension Innovation Team, which is a team that brings you this tech coffee break, is planning an Innovate event for NDSU Extension staff. And it'll take place on October 17th, the Monday before fall conference. And the idea is to give you time and a fun kind of creative atmosphere to work in teams to create some innovation around NDSU extension programming or organizational issues or internal things, just to kind of get us in the habit of being more innovative, thinking outside the box, and being more creative. It's based on an event that I was a creative coach for this spring that Jamie Sager and Danae Wolf put on at Ohio State University Extension, and I thought it was a great event, and we brought the idea back to the Extension Innovation team, and they liked it, and so we're going to move forward with it on October 17th. So I hope Dina's got some things to say too. I think that she can chime in on this too, but as she's been working with me and Amelia Dahl on planning the event. But what I want to do is just let you know it's coming. You'll register for it as a pre-conference, so it'll be part of your conference registration. I hope, Elizabeth, we'll have to talk about that more, but I think we talked about it a little bit. And I think it's going to be a great event. So Dina, did you want to fill in the blanks a little bit?
No, I was really going to just kind of share some of the goals, but you did a good job of doing that already. It was the ideas that we bounced around with Amelia and Bob and I. When you see something come out in an email, definitely it'll interest you all, I hope.
All right. Anything else on the Innovate event?
We'll be sharing some more information about it, so watch your email and the innovation team website. I'll put that link in the chat, so we'll be posting some stuff about it there soon.
Is the innovative event just for agents and specialists, or does it include support staff?
It is for everyone at NDSU Extension, Carol. So yes, includes support staff.
And we decided that it will have a separate registration. It'll be payable, like for those who are attending conference, they can register all at one time, like a pre-conference. But for somebody to just come that one day, I think, right, Becky, that should work. That's kind of how we decided to do it.
No problem.
So the Monday before conference, so the 17th?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
Details to come.
Perfect. All right, I guess we'll move on to kind of our topic for the day. Remember to keep this as kind of a discussion, so feel free to interrupt me at any time. But yeah, we'll be talking about social media. I'm guessing most of you are already using some form of social media, or if not, I guess hop on the bandwagon, I guess. It's free to use, and there are also some paid advertising options if you'd like to reach more and new audiences. Facebook is kind of the most popular one. It's the biggest social network on the internet, and I guess I put together a Facebook page for the Dickinson Research Center. Mostly post stuff about agronomy on there though, because I'm the only one here that really does anything, and it is difficult to keep on top of it sometimes, but there are some ways to make that a little bit easier. I guess, Michael, do you want to chime in a little bit about what you're doing with your Twitter account and your Facebook account? Or not? Okay, I guess in Grand Forks they have put together a way to, it's not too difficult to do, but when you post on Twitter will be linked to your Facebook. Twitter, I guess, would be the second most popular. With Twitter, it's 140 or fewer characters. You can link images, videos, polls. Abby Wick and Dale Richardson are very good at using Twitter. I follow them. They're posting pretty much every day. You can retweet and share other users' content, and it's very simple. You're supposed to use hashtags to help boost posts, so that's basically finding a way to trend something. I guess I could share a screen here. That might be a little... Let's see. So I'm pretty sure I'm presenting... Can you guys see my screen right now? Or is it still connecting? So you see, this is Twitter right here. So I guess I'm following a few different commodity groups, NDSU, American Soybean. One company that does a great job with Twitter is Bayer Crop Science. They use a lot of different infographics and do a pretty good job of spreading the good word of agriculture out to people. They have quite a few followers. One way to possibly go viral would be if a company like, say, Bayer Crop Science that has many followers, if they would retweet your information, because that will get out your information to all of their followers as well. And a good thing about Twitter is that you don't only have to show your own content, you can retweet other people's information, and that's actually better to do. That way people can see more information from just following you. NDSU extension. Here's something about TJ right here. You can click on it and it takes you to the Ag News. So looks like Pioneer's another good one to follow. I try not to just pick one company, pick a few different ones, along with a few growers follow me on here, I guess. I don't really have that large of a following, I guess. If you go to, so I recently retweeted Abby's picture of cover crops. So I guess any questions on Twitter while I'm on the page here? I guess we'll move on to Instagram. So Instagram is actually just sharing photos and videos. It's based entirely off of photos and videos. Facebook actually owns it, and there are more than 400 million users. This is entirely mobile, but there is a web version, but you can't take photos or create new posts on the web version, which is what I'm showing you right now. So I wouldn't be able to add a photo on the web. But if you download the app on your phone, it's fairly simple just to upload a photo, and you can add a filter to it and crop it or do whatever you'd like with the photo. I guess just like Twitter, you also use hashtags to try to catch more users, I guess. I guess you can also, let's see here. So at the center, we used a way to add Twitter and the Instagram photos onto the staff page, which is kind of nice, one spot to see everything. I'm not sure how often people actually go to look at this, but if they do, I guess it's a little bit more interactive than just a regular page. So if you'd like to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, if you already have it, DREC Agronomy on Twitter and DREC _ agronomy on Instagram. So I guess any questions before I move on? Anyone? Questions or comments?
So Ryan, this is Jim Gray. So I guess I have a question about what we know about demographics and users of different social media platforms. Is there any data out there on generational or age or gender differences and who's on different social media platforms? For example, would FCS agents gravitate towards Instagram because that's where many of their clients are, and ag agents gravitate towards some other social media platform, or is there just no data out there on who's on each type of platform?
I know Facebook has like Facebook Insights, where you can actually look at some of your demographics of people that are actually following you. I guess, Bob, do you know more on the demographics for different social media platforms?
Yeah, there are demographics out there, a lot of social media research on demographics. I'm not sure, I guess it would depend, Jim, on how much you knew about your audience, of whether we could delineate between, well, these are FCS people and these are ag people, unless it was based on the kind of demographics like gender, age, race, income, those kinds of things. I'll share a link in the chat. The Pew Research Center does gather a lot of data on internet use in America, and I'll share one of their latest social media demographics things that give you some idea of those demographics and the use of each platform.
Thanks.
So I guess, are there any questions in particular on how to use some of these? Or, I mean, they're really not too difficult, but any questions? So So Becky commented on the side, don't we need to publicize our sites to our target audiences? I guess, do you want to go more into detail on?
Yeah, I'm seeing what Jim's saying, but I think anymore that social media is so broad that different people just simply follow different other people. So Facebook, for example, is so huge that you can't just say, well, there are some demographics. Teenagers don't use Facebook as much as they used to, I think, in general, for example. But if we're dividing between, look at what Ryan's doing, even between the agronomists and the animal scientists at Dickinson. The people who farm would follow him. The ranchers might follow a separate Dickinson Facebook site, but they might both be Facebook. So, demographics and target audience, I think maybe we need to think of it that way instead of just which social media avenue do they use, but how can we get them to our specific site? Does that make sense, you guys who are doing it?
Yeah, I think you're right, Becky. I was just thinking in the terms of, what I hear from county agents is there's only so many hours in a day or in a week, right? And so they could spend a whole lot of time on every social media platform. And I guess what I'm looking for is, can we give them any general advice? If you're trying to reach this specific target audience, can we in general give you any advice in terms of this target audience? Odds are many or most of them are going to be on this platform as opposed to that one.
I guess Facebook is, if you're just kind of starting out with social media or you want to reach the most broad audience, Facebook would probably be the way to go, because you can share more things, I guess. You don't really have a limit on how many words like with Twitter, and you can put more than just pictures on like with Instagram, where it's basically just pictures and videos. I guess kind of trying to use multiple would be the way to go, because then you're kind of putting out more nets, I guess. But just to start out with social media alone, Facebook would probably be the easiest way to go, in my opinion at least.
Well, and with Facebook, this is Carol, with Facebook you can tag people. You can tag, like we tag Grand Forks Public Schools if we have something interesting, and that spreads the word too. Tagging is real easy to do.
This is Mike in Grand Forks too. I think it's a great idea to try and gather some demographics, and even for reporting purposes, if we could find a way to start collecting that data. But as far as using different platforms, our office has slowly transitioned from using just Facebook to other platforms. And what I like about adding other platforms, so we have a Facebook and a Twitter account now, and we'll probably work towards Instagram, but all of my platforms are connected. So if I post on Twitter, it goes on our Facebook page. If I post on our Facebook page, it goes to Twitter. So for the agents that have a valid statement saying there's only so much time in a day, if you connect all of your sites and platforms, so like now, instead of posting on Facebook, I mostly post on Twitter, but all of that content ends up on my Facebook page too. So that's a way to kind of get around having to manage multiple and individual platforms.
Hey, Mike, have you looked at insights to see how those posts perform on Facebook as compared to maybe a regular Facebook post? Some of the data that we see nationally show, some of that shows that when you cross-post, that those posts do not get the same level of engagement as if you design a post for a particular platform.
Yeah, I just started this only for a few months now, and Carol is actually more up on our insights and collecting that data, but I can see how that could be an issue. I think regardless, when I do cross posts like that, there is more engagement if there's a picture or a video associated with it instead of just a post. But to answer your question, that would be a no. I haven't looked at that.
Yeah, and as Twitter has evolved over the years, and the ability to use videos and more images within Twitter and things like that, that would, I would assume, improve the engagement of cross-posting, as opposed to, you know, a few years ago when most tweets were just text and links.
So I'm pretty sure I'm sharing with you, this is the Dickinson Research Center's Facebook page. Here's some of the demographics on the people that follow us. The age group are mostly my friends, I guess, so that 25 to 34 age group and the 18 to 24. But we do have a somewhat decent amount of people in the area. I mean, it's only 70, but that's 70 people that we're reaching, I guess. So we don't pay for any of our content to get it out to more people, but that would be a way to increase your reach, I guess. So does anyone else really use this Insights much on Facebook?
Yeah, this is Glenn Muskie. Been working with colleagues really across the country, and you know, sometimes we've been using it. So it's an off and on thing. Twitter, Facebook. We have a blog site. Just trying to see, you know, basically we did some testing of some titles. We did testing of pictures. We have a colleague in Mississippi who's done a lot of work with Facebook and Facebook contests. And, you know, he's up on the Insight. Right now we're just testing. We're doing a 3-month test of, you know, when's the best time of the day to post on Twitter, you know, for our audience and stuff. So we've played around with it some. Don't know if we've got any answers yet, but we're playing around with it, and you know, it's helping us, I think, slowly get a better message out.
That's what it's all about, right? Getting that message out. So, I guess one other, platform would be Snapchat. I think this would be something that we should start to try to get into. There are things called geofilters, where if you go to a certain place, you can swipe a filter over it that can show, like, for example, in the Rocky Mountains, if you go to Montana and you're in the Rocky Mountains, within that region, one of the filters will be facts about wolves and facts about the national park system and that kind of stuff. So it'll be interesting if we could find a way to get our message across using these filters. And there's one way to make a community filter, which would be free, and there's also on demand, which is where you could purchase these filters and you could include brand logos and trademarks. But I believe with the community one, universities can do this for free. So, yep. So I think that's something we should try to get into at some point. Possibly put in ag facts, agriculture facts along the interstate for people traveling through the state or something like that. But Snapchat, I guess it's not new, but it's fairly new, and it's kind of gaining ground over the past somewhat recently. So just another platform to get the message out. I guess anyone have anything to add about Snapchat or anything else? I guess, is anyone playing Pokemon Go out there? I feel like we should try to find a way to hop on that, but I can't think of anything for that. So, That would be a fun one. But yeah, so as long as you're not playing during work, right? So yeah, Pokestops at all county offices. Yeah, it'd be nice to find a way to use that. I think they're trying to monetize the Pokestops to get more people to could pay for having one at your business or something like that. There's one at the courthouse there. There you go. So it's definitely catching on, and I think with the school year there'll be a lot of kids wandering around with their faces glued to their phones. But I guess any other comments, questions while we're here? Otherwise, keep your eye out for information on the Innovate event. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact anyone from the innovation team. I guess, anyone have anything to add? Otherwise, we'll call it a meeting. Oh, it's already trending down, huh? Well, I think it'll still be popular for a few months, at least, if not longer. Yeah, Mario Kart Go. That'll be, the roads will be quite dangerous then. Alright. Well, if there's no more questions, have a good one, and we'll see you at the next meeting. Keep your eye out for emails from the innovation team.